ACLU on the King County Opiate Task Force, and just also want to express my thanks for allowing us a seat at the table to talk about this important issue.
Wonderful.
He's also very excited to be surrounded by women.
Thank you. Yes, happy International Women's Day to everyone. I apologize for the short timeline on this. We have about 5 minutes or so, so if you could give us your thoughts and remarks and any comments on next steps would be very helpful.
Okay, great. I'm going to kick it off, and we've heard a little bit about the history of the work that's been done on this issue over the last 2 years, but I wanted to highlight a couple of additional points. So we are now at the 2-year mark of when the King County Opiate Task Force was convened by the City of Seattle and the county, which embarked on a long community-driven process in a lot of ways, which resulted in the 8 recommendations lined out in the report from September of 2016. Always want to be mindful that the consumption space is one of 8 recommendations for that task force, and we really need to keep our eye on all of them. After that, the Board of Health in January of 2017, fully endorsed the task force recommendations. And I think one important point, especially going to some of the legal structure of all of this, is it really comes from public health authority, which is very broad. And it is a response to the epidemic that we see that these recommendations flow through public health authority and how that is set up in state and local law. During that process, I want to quote our felony prosecutor, Dan Satterberg. Quote unquote, "I want you to know that in this drug crisis, I believe that the criminal justice system should not take a primary role and that instead we should follow the lead of public health professionals. I pledge the support of my office to the task force recommendations, including the establishment of safe consumption sites for drug users." We also heard from the State Board of Health in response to community concerns about these efforts that, quoting them, "Local health jurisdictions such as Seattle and King County have broad authority to take certain actions in response to local health crisis, such as the opiate epidemic. We believe that this is the approach that Seattle and King County are taking as they plan to open community health engagement locations, which include safe consumption sites." From that, following the public health model, appropriations were made by the King County Council and now the Seattle City Council to implement those public health interventions. And also want to be mindful that, it was June of 2017 when the King County Council appropriated funding for this, and those timelines, can be eaten up pretty quickly, right? And you don't want to leave money on the table for doing this. So I just think it's important to kind of understand the historical background of this and really noting that it comes out of public health authority in the first place.
Thank you.
Hi.